It's very warm in here. What time have we got here? Oh my gosh, it's 7:03. I apologize. It is Monday, November 5th, 2018, 7:03. City Council meeting for the City of Woodland. If I can get everyone to please silence your cell phones and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Ripp, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Graham?
Here.
Councilmember Rounds?
Here.
Councilmember Plaza?
Here.
Councilmember Chapman?
Here.
Councilmember Hubbard?
Here.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Here.
Councilmember Benson?
Here.
All right, everyone is present and accounted for. We have no presentations or proclamations this evening. Need the sheets though.
Get him?
Stand by 1 second here, so I'll grab something else. Stand up here. Okay, I was gonna call. All right. First, young man, you pop up here real quick, please.
He's coming.
Oh, yeah, cut. We just had a nice conversation in the back. I just want to get his information. That's all.
Go ahead.
All right. I'll give that to you. Andrew, right here.
You're fine.
You're fine. Right here,
You're
buddy.
great, right
here. Take this pen and this paper and leave your name and address for me. Take that back to your seat. Okay. Oh, that's cool too.
See what's he gonna write on that there?
I'm gonna get you some stuff. We just had a nice conversation in the back room about my other job. So this young man would like to follow in my footsteps. That's all.
I say that's
Very
good.
good.
Awesome.
I'm proud
Yeah.
of you.
Recruiting them early.
Absolutely. Hey, you got to get them while they're early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a bad egg once in a while, like Kelly. So much turn the heat on.
I know. I'm dying right now. Oof, it is warm.
Oh, they turned it down.
No,
Stop
they
like
did
it.
not.
Yes,
I don't
they
believe
did.
you. All right, here.
Yes, he did.
You can keep that pen. All right. Thanks, Andrew. I'll get some stuff out to you. All right, moving on. Sorry, thank you. Mr. Babcock, I can get you to step forward for items not on the agenda and state your name and address, and we'll give you 5 minutes. A whole 5. Whole
My name
5
is-
this evening.
My name is John Babcock. I'm a support volunteer for Clark County Fire and Rescue, and we're starting a new program for disaster preparedness. And we've had a book printed, and it's mostly plagiarized from the state of Washington, but we made it ours. We've got our own cover and our own logos, and we took some stuff out and we put some stuff in that applies mostly to us. I have we have 2 support volunteers, myself and Jack Bothwell, and excuse me. We're currently trying to get the message out to homeowners associations and civic organizations. We've done a number of homeowners associations. We've done Ridgefield Lions, Woodland Rotary, and if you could help us get the word out and get us some business, we would appreciate it.
Did you bring any extra books with you this evening? Is that the one?
That's the one.
Is it electronic?
Flyers or something?
Well, this is not, but you can get the webpage and go on the state website
Okay.
and get the real meal deal if you want. We, like I say, we changed this up. I'll stick around till after the meeting, and if you'd like to look at the book, the presentation is free, but the books are $4. 'Cause
Oh, thank you. Now
I
we're
know,
out.
I know.
Don't have any money. Don't have any money.
Time for me to go.
All right.
Anyway, so
So they're $4 a piece, but is this something that any citizen within the community can order
Yes,
up? And,
anybody can buy them. We would appreciate it if you get some people together and we could do the presentation, because this is just the awareness
Okay.
level. There's a lot of things that go along with it, you know, your food, water, and sanitation is your three basic things, but
Okay.
there's a lot of different facets to, you know, how you accomplish that.
How long is the presentation?
It takes 45 minutes to an hour
Okay.
at the most, unless there's a lot of questions, and hopefully we have a lot of questions.
How many presentations have you done so far in Clark County?
5,
Okay. How's the attendance been?
15 to 25
Okay.
generally. It takes a bit of organization in the homeowners. You have to have somebody in the homeowners organization that will kind of take the bull by the horns
Okay.
and make all the contacts. We'll make the fire station available,
Okay.
the meeting room there, but, you know, we'll go anywhere. We were at the Oak Tree Casino here last week doing the Rotary.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
Hey, so you haven't hit any of the HOAs here in town yet, then?
not here.
I have a great contact for you.
Okay,
Is
I'll
it
take it.
Monica?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one. That's 369 gun.
Mike.
369 gun club. would be
Okay.
a good one as well.
And then Mike. Is it-
Oh,
I'm not on the
he's not on the
Oh,
board
you're
anymore.
not on the board anymore.
Okay. Let me, you leave your information. We already have it. Do you
Yeah.
have a phone number for you too?
Right,
Okay. We'll get a couple of names out to you with some
okay,
contact.
that'd be great.
It's all public, they've been here before speaking, so I know we can pop that out to you.
You know where to find me.
I know where to find you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, you don't get those. I hear you back there. All right. I see no one else signed up for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone in the gallery that failed to sign up at the beginning of the meeting? Now's your opportunity to step forward if you would like. Not on the agenda?
I got both.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. You don't get 10 minutes.
Well, first off, I was at Rotary when he gave the presentation. It was excellent. It's down into the actual doing. Well, so is Janet. I mean, awesome. And so the more people, I think he needs to come to chamber. So JJ, make connections with him. And it was really, really good. Gross, but good. Really, really gross.
Well, that's just because he taught you how to make a usable carry-along facility.
Wow.
Yeah, and two of them. It was really good. But then the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because I went to one of the presentations, and it was very good on the comprehensive plan. But one thing I would really encourage the council to do, and I almost feel you have to do this, is to review your code in the various sections. I know that I've been at several planning commission meetings, and they have emphasized the need to redo and revisit the code for zoning and for, what is multiple family, and all the items that go with that. And when you start redoing the comprehensive plan, at least for me, if I'm looking at the current code and you've got areas that you think should be high density, I want the code reviewed first. And I know that I've given you a contact. Not only will I tell you what to do, I'll tell you how to do it. But, the Chilton, Nick with Chilton, he doesn't need to go to school to know how to do this. He's done it for the county. Many times when you're doing something like writing the code, you're learning a lot. He already knows it. And I talked to the Chiltons, and they're willing to give Woodland a really good deal on it. But it hasn't happened.
We have
And
reached out, just so you know. We have made contact, though. We haven't discounted that.
Okay.
I just want to throw that out there so everybody knows.
Good, good. Well, contact doesn't mean you've signed the contract. And I want to get you going on doing something, because especially when we're redoing the comprehensive plan, you really need to do that also. And I think it's which comes first, the chicken or the egg, and I think in this case, the code comes first.
Okay.
I think that's all for the ones not on the agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Oh, I forgot to write you down. I took notes, but I didn't write you down. What's your P.O. box?
1808.
1808.
Sorry.
Anyone else for items not on the agenda that failed to sign up at the beginning of the meeting? Now's your opportunity.
Not?
Not.
No, I'm confused.
Not on the agenda.
Got it, okay.
Can I do my job?
Well, figure it out.
Okay. Well, I was. For items on the agenda, I have no one signed up, but if there's anyone in the gallery that would like to step forward, now's your opportunity. Oh, Mrs. Johnson. Well, what a surprise.
I just processed that a little faster.
I know you did.
Well,
She was being polite and letting anyone else step forward.
because of the budget is part of what you guys are going to be discussing, I'm coming back again on one item that has to do with impact fees, and I keep stressing this. And then I heard people say stuff like, well, the ones that have come, or businesses don't seem to have an issue with impact fees. Well, no one's breaking down the doors for Woodland to come, and you don't know how many businesses you may have lost because of the impact fees, because they look at it. We already have kind of a negative feeling toward Woodland that I feel like if we put an arm out wanting people to come, and the way you do that is by doing something, by like giving a forgiveness of the impact fees. They did it in Clark County. It was amazing. And if you ever want to talk to someone about it, I've got a couple of people that were involved in that, and I can give you the names, and it worked. It worked. And, we sit here, and I think we got a way of keeping some funding going for people that doesn't. Okay, then the second thing that the chamber was asked to kind of look into something that I think you might be signing that has to do with the hotel motel tax. And
Action item H on your agenda this evening.
first off, first off, I'll speak for the chamber, then I'll speak for myself. But the chamber, we have these regulations that we do not take positions in, else we read it twice and stuff. So we need more time to study it. And usually I do some of the studying, so I've done some studying on this. And there's a couple of things. I think it sounds good, but when you talk to the county commissioners, well, first off, mainly the people that like this are the big cities, because the big cities get the majority of the funds, and that have more hotel motel tax. So they like that, and that's kind of why this was set up, so that smaller cities could draw from the county on some of the funds and not just get the funds that they would get because of their own hotel motel tax. So the Woodland has a very good relationship with the county, and one of the things that we might be able to do if the county has big money, we may be able to draw on that directly by asking, like if, for example, we have to move the information center. we could ask the county for a large amount of funds. Now, I'm not saying they're going to give it to us, but really, that is one of the reasons they have this schedule, done the way it is so that there would be funds that the smaller areas could draw from. And we are one of the smaller areas. The other thing is, and I don't know if they do this effectively, but theoretically, the county is the one that would advertise in, say, New York about come see Mount St. Helens. Woodland doesn't do that. Woodland would probably never do that. But the county is supposed to reach way beyond our area to promote tourism, so that we would be asking people. Now, we could do that, I suppose, if we had the money, but when you're doing that, it costs so much that even if we got another 60,000, which is about, I think, what we get with the 2%, it would be extremely expensive to reach to people way outside of our area, which that's kind of what the tourism is trying to get people from way outside of our area, like New York, like Wyoming, like Texas, like wherever, Norway, Sweden, Mexico, all of those places is where we're trying, that supposedly that's what is the tourism money is for, is to get people from way outside of our areas. And even when we're doing our hotel motel tax, we are within that we spend it, we're trying to reach people if we advertised 60 miles or more away from us. So, so if we're advertising in Woodland for a Woodland event, it's my understanding that's not what the hotel motel taxes are. Because if it's too local, you're not going to bring people and put them in heads and beds. And so, now and then I don't know if you're in the budget, you're considering the hotel motel tax, but I'm hopeful that you will accept the recommendation of the hotel motel committee.
Did you just switch to yourself? Are you still in chamber?
Huh?
Did you just switch to personal statement, or are you still on chamber?
Oh, yes, personal statement.
Okay.
Excuse me. I
I just want to keep them separate. You're
Yeah,
fine.
actually, I switched after I told the chamber. I switched way back when I said the chamber has to take time.
That was
to do
that was the only one.
That was the only section.
Everything else was all you.
Everything else was all.
All
me.
right.
So
Well, this isn't gonna look like a nightmare right here. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
because we haven't taken any votes on that, but as part of the hotel motel committee board, that I hope that that when it comes to that, you accept the recommendations of it. Then, one other thing, as long as I'm up here, on the chamber, I usually try to tell you what's going on. This time I printed it, so maybe I'll be more accurate, but we got Travis coming to give us a report next week.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, actually, next week is the person on loans and that. And then we're going to have a, where is it, JJ? Oh, an after hours on November 15th at the Crow Moon Coffee and Pearl and Branch, and that's in Belmont Loop. And we'd like, it's really nice when we have open houses if people, well, we try to get as many chamber members there, but if people that represent the city come, because they go through a lot of work, it's a big thing. It's really a big thing, and so now that you all know about it, expect the 15th. And it's from 5 to 7. And it's at 1935 Belmont Loop. It's in that kind of new area where they have,
It's next to the gun shop,
next to the
And
gun
the
shop.
license department. Where you get your license.
or the
Yeah,
auto
the
license.
auto license,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe a ribbon cutting.
So that's kind of a big thing. That is a big thing, not kind of a big thing. And we'll be getting back on the chamber is going to take a position on, oh, and this is still me talking, if all of the.
We just went back again.
Yeah, if
Okay.
it is, if all of the other cities have signed it, it might be weird if we didn't sign it. But I'm not sure quite yet whether it's the best thing for Woodland. And we will be talking about that at our chamber meeting and hopefully taking a position on it.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. It's a hard one to follow, but if there's anyone else in the gallery who would like to step up for items on the agenda, now is your opportunity. Seeing no takers, are we having issue? Are we having some technical problems? Okay, I'll slow down. Oh, you know what I don't have is I don't have a sign up for the public hearing. Did we set one out this evening? Okay. We'll call them forward. Okay, we're fine. Stand down. Thank you, Mr. Carter. All right, we've reached the portion of our agenda for approval or changes.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humber, seconded by Councilmember Chapman. Mrs. Ripley, will you please take the vote on the agenda?
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
All right, the agenda has been approved. The time is now 7:25. We're moving into a public hearing on property tax, and it is for the property tax levy for 2019, correct? Or is it says 18, but is it?
Yes, it's 19.
It's property tax levy for 2019, 101%. For those in the gallery who'd like to step forward and speak to this, now's your opportunity to step forward. Just gonna let it go. All right, seeing no one, it is now 7:26. We are out of public hearing and back into regular session. And reports of City Council.
Okay, we had a Public Works meeting today.
Wait. Mrs. Rounds, you're jumping ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm so anxious.
You must have some good things to share. Reports of City Council. Places you visited. Things you've done since we met last. And not during the workshop, I mean regular City Council meeting. Something exciting to share.
Well, I do have something exciting to share. Rotary today just
Okay.
decided that we are going to bring the circus to town.
What?
Yes, May the 27th, 2019, for a one-day circus. It's the
Will there be
Culpeper-
elephants?
Yes, no elephants, but there's lions and tigers, I'm sorry.
All right.
But for a show at 2 and one at 4. So it's going to be a fun at the park,
Horseshoe Lake Park.
Horseshoe Lake
Okay.
Park. So we'll have pre-ticket sales and we'll know more about it. And
Who's doing it? I cut you off.
The Rotary.
No, you said that.
Culpeper and, Culpeper and,
Is that a Western
Culpeper.
store?
dang it, I've got his card at home.
Oh.
Doesn't it start with a W?
It's Culpeper and Ring, no, that's not it. But
No.
anyway, Culpeper Circus. So,
Interesting.
May the 20, it is actually Memorial Day. So the 27th. Mhm.
Well, that's exciting.
So 2 and 4. Yeah, it should be fun for the kids. And the JCs, years and years and years ago, brought it to town one time, and I think they did have elephants, but that was the old Ringling Brothers Circus, you know, and so it was a good thing. It was a good turnout. It'll be good for the kids, something for the kids to do. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, that sounds exciting. We should put it right down Davidson, right in downtown, like they used to do the rides for Planters Day.
Yeah.
Just walk the tiger. Yeah? No?
I don't know. We'll have to send Jeff.
That's exciting. That sounds like fun.
It is fun. It
Well,
is.
who's going to follow that? Mrs. Graham. You can try, but
I
it's
don't
the
know
circus.
if mine's going to be that exciting, except for I remember taking my kids. So it's been a long time ago when the circus was in the park.
Took my kids there too.
So
It's a long
and
time ago.
I want to say at one time there was didn't they parade down the street
They
before
did.
they went to the circus?
Yes, you went
Yes.
down the street and to the park.
Yes.
They'll
So-
have a tent raising at 10 o'clock that people can go down and watch the big top, and then they'll take the kids on a tour if they want, after they raise the tent. So it should be fun.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, mine's not going to be quite that exciting, but it's okay. I did attend the Express Employment open house that they had last week. It was really kind of interesting to sit in there and listen to them communicate with employees and how they really do work with our local businesses here in town. Do a whole lot more than what I would ever imagined. It's not going in and saying, oh, you got to go to a job, but they cover a lot of specifics for employment. I went to the Moose Lodge open house. That is another little small gym that we have in our city that they support a lot of small projects, a lot of activities here in town that I don't think people really realize what their involvement. It's just not someplace to go have a drink. And they have over 300 members from the area in the lodge, and all that they do. It's pretty fantastic for what they do. I went and observed the career day at the high school last Friday, or Thursday. And I must say that was quite eye-opening to sit back and watch the students come in. They each had questionnaires they had to fill out, but that they participated with. I think they had 48 different businesses, booths, tables for kids to talk to people about. Some of them were given cards to be contacted by for employment. And it was interesting to find out that so many of these businesses, for instance, Shaver Barge Lines, that they will take young people in and train them how to work the river, work the boats. So it was very interesting. It was heartwarming to see the interaction that the kids with the adults in different jobs. So that was all good. And kudos to Mr. Goddard for his open house Friday here at the council chamber, seeing all of his charts and his maps. I've read paperwork, but I mean, it's nothing until you see the pictures, the charts and the paperwork and the maps, and getting familiar with what's going on. It's a very good job, so I hope everybody else gets to go and see his presentation or by him, because he was walking everybody through one by one when they came in. So it was very good. And we'll be going to the town hall on the 8th. And just a quick update on the that's for later.
Oh, trying to
I won't
catch
go
up with
into
the
chamber
circus.
from that, so.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Graham. Mr. Fredericks.
I don't really have a report, just a reminder that tomorrow's kind of an important day. If you haven't returned your ballot, please vote. If you haven't, it's too late to mail, I believe. Is that right? No, I'm seeing
No.
one yes, one no. As long as
The
it's
state of Washington allows postmark.
postmarked. I'm thinking of Oregon.
And no
that's right.
postage.
So Washington, you can still drop it off, and we have a free drop box
Yes.
in the city parking lot. With no, it does not require a stamp.
Right.
So vote. That's my report.
That's your report. Well, all right. Okay. Mr. Chapman.
The 24th me and some fellow other council members went to an AWC meeting. Very informative, to let us know what a little AWC, what MHRC, a little gold gem we have to fall back on for resources. Very informative, very good, enlightening and stuff. And they had us all talk about our each individual cities, and it's kind of refreshing to feel that what in the boat by itself, there's a lot of other small cities that are really struggling like we are, trying to make stuff to do. And then we're trying to take it together to get our ship righted and everybody going in the right direction. So it was really good, especially the MHRC and AWC, the tools they got to open up for us to help moving forward and stuff.
We also met our lobbyists, so we
Yeah,
have
met
a
our
lobbyist
lobbyists,
that
yeah.
will work for each individual city. Talk to him and have him come, and I got his name and number, so he can talk to us.
The MRSC does invaluable work.
Yes.
And I know former Councilmember Burke actually got me onto that site a few times. They'll answer questions, they'll return your calls fairly quickly, and they'll help you with drafting resolutions and ordinances if you want to present them here, which I've done a few times. But very, very valuable tool.
And it's no cost when you call, because we pay a
Right.
membership,
Right.
your
Right.
annual membership, right? Yeah, which is awesome.
Well, I also went to
Okay.
a 911 meeting, but there wasn't anything exciting. That's normal.
I think that's,
But just
That's later,
representing
right?
us there.
Oh.
911.
oh, okay, all right,
Yeah, no, that's just making sure that Woodland was represented there.
okay.
Parks, did that was good. Horseshoe Lake Committee, went to the ABC meeting. FBLA, oh yeah, I did the FBLA.
When was that? Was
Friday.
it interviews or?
No, it was actually a learning session, so the different cities could send kids to this, and we talked about what it takes to present in our particular tract. What do you need to, how do you dress? How do you act? What do you say? And had them work with a partner, and in the beginning, they were kind of laughing and didn't look at each other, and it's like, no, it's important that you shake hands, and it's a firm handshake, and you make eye contact. And by the end, they were talking past their minutes that they were allowed, making eye contact with each other. It was amazing. So the FBLA is actually in January, and we'll be sitting on that as well.
All right.
That's near and dear to my heart. I was the president of FBLA in high school, and they do a lot of good things like that, and just helping people get prepared for
Absolutely.
the interview process and the real world once they leave high school. So
Extemporaneous speaking,
Yep.
all of those kinds of things.
Yep.
I did as well.
it's good
Yes.
stuff.
But it's important stuff.
Was that before the job fair? That happened?
It was next morning.
Oh, it was next morning, okay. Gotcha. Nice. All right.
So I didn't do the job fair because I need to talk to the board of Education.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people there. All right. Seeing nothing else? I lost my spot. There we go. Moving on to reports of standing committee, Public Works. Now, Mrs. Rounds.
Thank you.
You bet.
We had our meeting today, and on the water, the hydrant testing happened this week and next. Has not been done for 3 years, and they're ordering an AED for the plant. So, on sewer, their dewatering process, the screw press, Gibbs and Olson's will complete the manual this week per email received on 11/5/18. Intern position, Emilio that came for the internship is going to be working 1 to 2 days a week until office is fully staffed, so that's kind of exciting to hear. On the streets, they're going to be doing street sweeping planned for mid-November. Curb painting is done for the year and will pick up next year. Road asphalt on hold until next year's funding budget is approved. Facilities, police station, the budget request for interview room to be soundproofed is $16,000, keeping an eye on the roof. The sewer lines backed up again last week. October repaired and walls patched. So City Hall roof replacement has started today. Parks, Horseshoe Lake Park, we finished the bleachers at the park, and all 3 are installed now. Other things, the garbage, we're gathering old paint, oil, chemicals, et cetera, around the facility and disposing of all of that this month to kind of go along with Let's Make a Difference Day. And Let's Make a Difference Day, the mayor gave a speech on 10/27, and we had between 150 and 175 volunteers show up. We completed 13 requests on homes and 20 pickups at Woodland East, not counting the Action Center, Lilac Gardens, and the Lilac Gardens. And grants and miscellaneous, the Frank L. and Arlene G. Price Foundation received an engineered design on October the 26th. Need to review for application, then apply for a permit to attach to City Hall. And that's the end of that. And our next meeting is when?
The first Monday in
December? First Monday in December at 5:30.
December 3rd.
December the 3rd.
It's ready.
Hey, Carol, I think it might be right here.
Well, I looked and I didn't see it. Okay.
Is it right there?
Perfect.
It's right there. All right. Thank you for that. Questions for Mrs. Rounds?
She mentioned the Woodland Action Center in her report. Huge deal for Safeway and their partnership with the Action Center, so far has raised over $10,000 to help out folks that are in need of holiday meals. So that's a huge deal. I don't know if we can recognize Safeway, but that's a...
Well, I can recognize Safeway because Miss Sammy Rip hit me up for some money the other day. She had her crown on and she said, "Hey, come on over." Yeah, always swindling money out of me, that girl. I don't know how she does it. But yes, it's. I believe they're delivering turkeys on the 17th. Does that sound about right? And I know that they need extra hands on deck from Safeway. I thought I put it in my phone. Maybe I did not. I can get that information and get that out to council as well for those that want to attend. But that's a big undertaking. And Rotary, where's Rotary's turkeys go?
They're for the Christmas project.
That's Christmas, not Thanksgiving.
That's Christmas,
Okay.
not Thanksgiving.
Does it go to the Action Center, or is that
No.
you guys are your own?
We take care
Okay.
of, our own.
As a fellow Rotarian, you think I would know that? I'm terrible. All right, got it. Okay. We got sidetracked. Sorry. Where were we?
Finance.
Questions for Mrs. Rounds? Public Works, no? All right. Mr. Fredericks, Finance and General Government.
Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November 13th at 5:30 at Council Chambers Conference Room. And I am not sure I'm going to be there. I may be attending another meeting that's in Woodland on that day.
Okay. Who else? Who's your backup?
Mr. Chapman and Ms. Rounds.
Okay.
You got it covered.
Okay. Public Safety.
We met on October 15th. Fire inspections, Chief Jackson presented the information on fire inspections. State law requires cities to enforce the fire code on new construction every month. The statute does not give any time frame, only says shall enforce the code. CCFR is looking to the city for help to fund the project, not the whole thing. CCFR goals would be primarily safety, not punitive. Chief Jackson went on to explain the potential liability to the city for not enforcing the code. Also said they will be doing inspections in La Center and Ridgefield starting January 1st. Those cities had been contracted with CCFR before the agreement with both cities. I suggested the funding for the fire inspection could be included in a business license. Chief Jackson said the first one would be no charge or partial funding by the city, perhaps coming from the business license. Chief Jackson said he would discuss it with Chief Knorr for ideas and funding. A discussion on how to apply for the fee proceeded, and a number of ideas were discussed. Police Department employee update. Chief Kelly informed the committee recruit Officer Moore will be starting criminal justice Basic Law Enforcement Academy next week, and we'll be there for 15 and a half weeks, followed by a 12-week field training program. Kelly said the department's still looking to fill the sole vacant spot and looking at 2 lateral officers. The process is to vet the 2 applicants will begin in the next week. Kelly's attempting to schedule polygraph examinations for them. The mobile radio purchase, the council approved the purchase of the mobile radios for the fleet, and the department will begin having the radios installed and completed by January of 2019. And the fire district annexation, Chief Jackson will be meeting with Mayor Finn and City Administrator Boyce to discuss updates on annexation of the city into the fire district. Meeting was adjourned at 4:55. And our next meeting is next Tuesday, 11/13 at 5:30. I think we're doing 4:30 at the police station. 4:30? Okay.
All right. Questions for Ms. Humbert? Mr. Chapman?
Chief Jackson, you said could you kind of iterate what the penalty is if we keep sloughing off this thing and kind of what?
In reference to fire inspections?
Yes.
There is no set penalty from the state.
Mhm.
The state simply has a statute that says municipalities and county government shall enforce the fire code.
Okay.
It doesn't really go beyond that. So the liability could be variable. It just really depends on what it is. So we're looking at options on how to effectively do that and help ensure that we set businesses up for good continuity and reduce their risks and hopefully they can continue to operate long term.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes. Mr. Plaza?
Just to touch on that, though, even though there's no like state things saying that we could be punished for it, or what have you, if something happens and somebody is injured and it's found out that we haven't been enforcing these, that would open us up to civil liability, though, correct?
Certainly,
Yeah.
there would be some potential liability.
More so than if we had been following the code and getting inspections and all that other kind of stuff.
I think that's fair to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Mr. Fredericks.
Raises another question. Are we currently doing inspections?
No, the city has not been doing fire inspections for some time. That operation actually ceased prior to my coming to the city as the fire chief. And prior to that, it was pretty limited in scope and with limited expertise that they were doing.
So we can't prove today that we have a plan in place that shows that we are actively enforcing our code.
I should clarify, so the city has engaged our services for new construction, like we do in the other 2 cities that we serve. So for newly constructed businesses and buildings or buildings that have a change in occupancy, modifications, those are reviewed and the fire code is enforced in those. And those costs are driven through permit fees that come from those projects. But for existing businesses and inspecting those operations, that has not been done in the city.
And this hasn't been an issue with our insurance provider, Ms. Ribb? Okay.
I
then.
don't know if that's
It has had some impact on our insurance, public protection classification that affects insurance rates. And doing more that is currently being done with inspections could have a positive impact on that protection classification from Washington Survey and Rates. It has an impact on property insurance rates and individual properties.
I think we really discussed it in detail, so we can certainly ask them.
I think the concern is, some of the concern that's on the other side of that coin is rates that are charged to businesses for this inspection service. And I've personally had to experience some abuses to that with very large inspection fees for a 20 to 30 minute visit that I ended up paying $500 or $600 for. And so I'm not sure if there's ways to look at that to make it to where it's maybe a realistic number, but I don't know. Mr. Randolph, is that something that concerns you from a risk perspective, or you just don't?
No.
No? Okay. Excellent. Moving right along.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Humbert? All right. Do we just have the 3 committees?
Yep.
Oh, I kind
And I thought the finance committee was,
Well, finance was, we were just announcing the date because of the.
You'll do it next time.
okay.
No, I just feel like we're missing one, but I guess there's only 3.
Human resources.
Human resources.
Oh, human resources.
We did not have a meeting, so.
Oh, okay.
So our next meeting will be Tuesday the 20th. Or Monday the 19th.
Monday the what, I'm sorry?
Monday the 19th.
19th, okay. So you have nothing to report this evening? That's what I'm hearing from you.
That is correct.
Okay. You'll report next time as well then? It's the 19th, okay.
We usually do it on the off meeting, so this would normally be the meeting for
Okay.
the report if we had a meeting.
Gotcha, okay. All right, moving on to reports of city officers. I've got a list here. It's been a while since we've met officially. On the 17th, I held a meeting with some folks from the business chamber along with some others. Breakfast with the mayor. We held it at the Oak Tree. They were kind enough to open up early for us, which was very kind of them. Put on a very lovely breakfast. And Representative Orcutt actually showed up, which was a surprise, which made me nervous because I didn't know if he was going to throw some hardball questions at me, but he played nice, so it was good. I thought we had a great conversation, though. I think it went very well. I would say there was probably about 15 people there, 12 to 15 people, something like that.
At least.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes, it was very good. It went well. So we'll do another one probably next quarter then, especially after the budget's over and we can kind of move on and start talking about some other things. On the 18th was the Empress After Hours up at the Empress Estates. Beautiful facility up there if you haven't been up there yet. I highly encourage everyone to at least take a swing through. On the 20th, held a table at the annual Rotary Gold Leaf Dinner and Auction, which was great. The host was out of control. It was amazing. What a beautiful evening. I was the host, so I'm just going to throw that out there. It went very well. 165 people? Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Yeah?
fun.
Mrs. Graham was there. Mr. Fredericks was there. You
was
were
out
out
of town.
doing something else. The Johnsons were there. Lots of people. Mr. Orcutt was there at that as well, which is wonderful. I'm not quite sure what the total number was raised, but it was numbers
Around 44,000.
right around 44. I was thinking about 40. It was a good time, though. Let's see. A couple weeks ago, myself, Mr. Goddard, Mr. Boyce, and Miss Coleman, we all attended. We took a trip over to Wenatchee and attended the 10th Annual Infrastructure Assistance Coordinating Council, the IACC conference in Wenatchee. It was a great conference. I think that we learned a lot. I'm sorry, I took the trash cans out before we got here, and I just feel like I've got spiders crawling all over me tonight. There's nothing wrong with me, but
You're fine.
okay. I keep feeling something, and I'm starting to freak out a little bit. But it was a great conference. I think that we learned a lot. There was some great conversation that was had. I think that and I'm sure Ms. Coleman and Mr. Goddard may touch on that during their reports. But I think we came back with some great information on how we can get some good stuff for the city, or at least an obtainable way to get there, I guess. Some roadmap was laid out when it came to some infrastructure items, so that was good. Learned about some grants that are out there as well, which I'll be passing some of that information on to the Action Center. I don't know that they're aware that some of these grants are out there for public facilities, especially for food banks and those types of things. A lot of information was gained. It was good stuff. Let's see. I did a lot. Let's see. What was on the 27th? Oh, 27th was Make a Difference Day. Great turnout. I love seeing all the young kids out there raking up leaves, and everyone seemed really excited to be there in the commons at the middle school. So that was great. Kathy and Dennis did a wonderful job. Ms. Coleman, your group, I don't know how much work you did for that, but I know that there was a lot of heavy lifting by Kathy, so our Employee of the Year, so I'm not surprised. She did a wonderful job helping coordinate that, and the turnout was beautiful. And I appreciate the school district for helping us and partnering with us. 31st was Halloween, obviously. Passed out lots of candy there in front of City Hall with Miss Rip and a few of the other staff members in the front. I think we had about 2,000 kids come through. Is that what I heard? The guy down the street had little packets, and he had 2,000 of them, and I know that he gave out 2,000. So I know that a lot of children came through, which was weird because I saw a lot of the same kids at my house later on that evening, which was, yeah. I kind of said the same things to them, and they were like, what are you talking about? Yeah, try to throw them off a little bit, throw them off their game. Just don't want them to egg my house. But I think everybody did well, and it calmed down about 8 o'clock, so it was good. It wasn't a late night this year. On the 2nd, Mr. Goddard had his open house right here. So I had ran into Miss Congresswoman Herrera Butler at a meeting. I was hoping that they were going to swing by. I sent them down, but I know that Dina Horton messaged me, who is the legislative liaison for Senator Cantwell. I know that she came through at one point. She sent me some photos, and she was very excited and was very happy to be able to attend that. After following up on the tour that we had here over the summer, it was nice that she was able to come and see the progress that we've made and what's happening. So very pleased, and I know that information will be passed on to the senator as well. Oh, what else do I got here? Oh, on the first career day, that was great. It was nice seeing all the city folks out there. We had a nice, lovely lunch. I was in my other role that day, and I met some wonderful children that morning, and thank you to the port for hosting that and partnering with the school district. That was great. And for the chamber update, do you have some more stuff for chamber?
Just a couple things is all really quick.
Okay, go ahead.
We've had elections of our officers for 2019. We're planning a retreat on the 14th to make our plans for 2019. Looking forward to working with the city. On the 6th of December, we will be having our Christmas after hours. It's a Thursday evening at the golf course and auction. And there will be cookies for auction.
What kind?
All kinds. I went home with them. Was that last year or the year before?
Last year, I think.
No, Tim
No.
Zoltz went home with them last year. That was the year before.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was-
And then our
frosting?
installation
All
banquet is January the 19th, 2019 at the Heathman Lodge, and that's always a good time. So I think that's
What was it? Did you say the 13th?
what. The banquet is the 19th of January.
I'm sorry. I went back to the December dinner.
Oh, the 6th.
The 6th. Sorry.
It's a Thursday.
Okay. No cookies for me. I'll be out of town. No, I won't. I'll be here. Never mind. It's the next week after that.
Cookies and other items.
Perhaps I could try some of those before they actually make it to the auctions. I'm just saying. You gotta keep it safe.
Reschedule.
I don't know.
House meeting. What was the date?
Well, easy. For the chamber, I do have one item for the chamber, and that is, I was just going through this here. We're working on, and I'm going to get to this here in a minute, but I'll throw this out there so in case other folks leave. Hoping to get your legislative priorities, if any, and I'll be having that discussion here shortly. But try to schedule some time with your board or your group of folks and try to figure out what's going on. I'd like to have that done before December's over so we can coordinate with city priorities as well as we move forward with those conversations. So if you could bring that up, that would be great. I direct your attention to action item H on your agenda this evening. We have one speaker this evening, Mrs. Johnson, who is here. And I politely disagree a little bit, but I understand we all have our own opinions, which is good. But I brought this forward after having a meeting with the city manager of Kelso. This is something that's been worked on for a while. The conversation has began with the county, though, long before he came to us, trying to figure out, similar to what you described, is how can we work together without changing the law all the way around. doesn't seem like those conversations are going very well right now. So this is just another avenue for us to advocate for the city and bring some of those funds back into the city. But again, we all have different views. So I am advocating for action item H this evening. I think that overall, as a state, we have 2 counties within the state that aren't part of the law right now. For whatever reason, back 20-some years ago, Cowlitz County and Snohomish County were not included into the law. So I just think that if we go back and keep it consistent statewide, I think that we'd all be better off at the end, especially as a community. And that's all that I have.
Do you take questions?
Not from you.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Is there a time constraint on the letter?
No.
So there's nothing that would prevent us from sending this letter
I don't think there's a time
or approving
constraint.
this at the
Let me
next
take that
meeting?
back.
Oh, I see.
Let me take that back.
Voice. I can tell.
I believe we're trying to send this, all the cities within Cowlitz County have agreed, except us at this point.
My understanding is that they want to get the letter out sooner rather than later, just to start the login effort.
Yeah.
But there's no drop dead date. But they are requesting cities to take action sooner rather than later.
And
If the council decided not to take action tonight, it's not a deal killer. The letter may or may not go out without Woodland as a part of it. I have to have that discussion with the cities too.
And if my memory serves me, the conversation we had, if council does not sign up to advocate for this, I still have the ability to sign the letter myself and advocate.
Expressing the mayor's
Yes.
personal opinion.
Absolutely. So, not that I'm strong-arming council, I would appreciate a united front, but that's that. I'll still be signing the letter. I would just like us all to be in agreement with that. Other questions?
No. Not
Okay.
yet.
All right. Carl? All right. Mr. Boyce?
Okay,
Did I? Oh, yeah. There you are.
first off, in your packet, you have the third quarter, 2018 third quarter reports. We had a discussion at our department head meeting about third quarter reports. Since Mayor Finn's come on, we've started giving more detailed monthly reports, like you will hear after I finish speaking, from our departments. We're trying not to duplicate, so what we are contemplating is to continue on with the detailed monthly reports. However, we realize that City Council gets some stats on a quarterly basis from the police department and community development. And basically, we'd like to incorporate those into the monthly reports for community development and the police department. So we're going to try that out, see how it works. But we'd like City Council feedback, if there are holes in information you're seeing, let us know and we'll try to fill that. So, secondly, I wanted to let council know that we met with mediation with the Woodland Police Association on May 25th. Unfortunately, we didn't come to an agreement. The next step now is arbitration, so we'll be moving forward with that. Also, we'll be engaging in contract negotiations with the Teamsters, both clerical and public works units. We have a date scheduled for November 27th, so we'll be moving forward with those negotiations. I also wanted to report that the labor and industry settlement over the wastewater treatment plant OSHA violations we had several years ago. I believe we've come to the point where we've met all the requirements of the settlement agreement. So I'll be engaging with L&I to get some finalization letter acknowledging that the city has complied with the settlement agreement, and we'll be able to move past that. That entailed a lot of training of city staff, especially in our public works department. We had an industrial hygienist hired to review all safety policies, and we believe we're on the right track now. So that's good news to report, and hopefully we can move on with keeping safety in mind. Actually, the first week of December, we'll have our mandatory all-city safety meeting, and it remains a priority. We don't want to end up in the same situation again. So, it's a good thing. It's the city moving forward with that. Okay. Next, wanted to make City Council aware of liquor licenses. We have Woodland Moose Lodge, 137 Davidson Avenue, Giuliano's Pizza, 1147 B Gordon Street. Basically, it's an address change. There's a new location at 1227 North Gordon. Lucky 21 Casino, 1020 Atlantic Avenue, and Woodland Grocery Outlet, 1325 Lewis River Road. And the fifth one, Daddy D's at 1243 North Gordon. Other items, community events, November 8th, South County Town Hall, Part 2 at the Woodland High School at 5:30 p.m. November 9th, the Empty Bowls program at Woodland High School, 7 p.m. November 10th, breakfast at the VFW. It's 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. and veterans eat free, so please come and support the veterans. 11/12, Veterans Day holidays observed. The city offices will be closed, and the VFW Veterans Day event will happen also on the 12th.
At 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Okay, and November 13th, City Council special meeting with budget workshop at 7 p.m. November 15th, open house for the expansion of the urban growth boundary and update at comp plan 1 to 6:30 p.m. And I need to commend Travis also, Mr. Goddard, with his presentations. I've seen the presentation several times, and he's excited every time he gives it. And I think he gives people a lot of information. They come in with a preconceived notion of what it means. I think he gives everyone the tools to make some better educated decisions, and I think minds are actually being changed. That not everyone agrees, but at least they're making informed decisions. So just wanted to mention that. Let's see, 11/19, November 19th, public hearing for the 2019 final budget. First reading at 7 p.m. December 3rd, open house again for the urban growth boundary and comp plan update. And December 4th, open house for the urban growth boundary adjustment and several of these. December 6th, the county town hall, part 3 at Woodland High School at 5:30 p.m. December 20th, the planning commission public hearing regarding comp plan amendment and growth scenario. That's at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. January 18th, chamber installation banquet at Keeping Lodge.
Which is the 19th.
It's the 19th?
Yes.
And getting way out there, February 13th, 2019, the FBRL fundraiser auction at the Red Barn. And February 13th through 14th, City Action Days. So we'll need to get those legislative priorities together, and if city councilors could, check your schedules and see if anyone would like to attend. Let us know, and we'll make the arrangements. So that's my report for this.
Questions for Mr. Boyce?
There was a standout in the department reports, in my mind. And I thought that Ms. Coleman did a very nice job with her report. It's a little different, and I like the pictures of your employees.
I was just going to say, were there pictures?
There were pictures, and they looked, I don't know, maybe you got them when they were smiling, but I'm sensing the morale is high. And I don't know if it's just the feel of it, but I haven't felt that in a long time for that department. I'm sensing that there's good things going on in that department.
There are, thank you.
Have we
Mrs. Rhodes.
decided when we're having our retreat?
We're going to talk about that under reports of advisory committees. Yes. Any other questions for Mr. Boyce? I have to echo his same feelings with Mr. Goddard. I wasn't here for the first comp plan. I came in right at the end when it got approved. So I don't know, and it always seemed like the question was, with the other council members that were here at the time, I know we've had some changeover, was what's our public outreach? I don't think we've done enough. So I'm hoping that we're hitting the mark this time. I feel like we're doing a lot. He's been on tour for, I don't know, for over a month now, at least, if not longer, and still has dates into the future on top of what you're seeing here on the agenda this evening. So I hope that this is the expectation of council. I know it's the expectation of the community, and I believe that we're hitting it. So
The feel is a lot. I know Councilmember Humbert and I have been here a long time, and we've been through some of these. The feel is different.
Totally different.
And it's very positive in that you're passionate about the subject material, and it's hard to get people passionate about that. It's not fun to talk about, but you do a nice job of doing that and getting people excited about the material as much as you possibly can.
You see me yawning when you talk about the budget?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I understand.
It's
just
not
can't get
like
you there, huh?
this.
Maybe we need to take the budget on tour. But nice job. I echo Mr. Boyce's comments as well. Mr. Randolph. I figured. Before we move into this is why I went to you, and then I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to take a quick break before we dive into, because I know these other ones will take a while. So it is 8:09, or it's 8:10. We'll take a 5-minute break.
I'm going to have a question on the treasurer's.
I should know better. All right, we're back in session, and we're going to kick it over to Mrs. Rip for her report this evening.
So, our department's been busy again this month. Since the last time I reported, I guess it was in October. We have a number of ordinances and resolutions that we're working on. The fireworks code, which is on tonight's agenda. We also worked on closing Sun 325, which is a Scott Avenue, that's our 501 intersection. And that was adopted in October. Also, a change to the utility non-use, what we call vacation stop ordinance, made that change. And we also are updating the change fund for the public works department, and that passed as well. And then we have been working on the property tax resolution that was on tonight's agenda for first reading, and also be on for final reading on the 19th. I'd like to point you to our social media, our Facebook page. If you're not already a member, please get on there and follow us and look at all our wonderful pictures. We don't put our pictures in the reports, but we have them on there. Make sure you check that out.
Well played, Mrs. Rip. Well played.
That's good.
We have a number of notices that we sent out, the public hearing notices. We assisted Travis with the comp plan open house notices. And then also our budget work sessions, and also the Pacific Park public meeting, which was held on October 9th for the Blue Sugar High Runoff. And then we did do our press release for our employees, which is good. I hope you saw that. We filled a vacant seat on our planning commission. Scott Peabody was appointed, and we have on board.
Not civil service.
Oh, I'm sorry, what did I say?
Planning.
Commission.
Planning
No,
commission.
civil service commission. That would stick my head. We also onboarded our new employee in the public works department, Jason Sanders. He's a utility service worker one, so we're happy to have him on board.
And he's a local boy.
He is local.
I shouldn't call him a boy. Local resident. Gentleman. He's inside city limits, which is great.
Yes. We are working on our open enrollment, which is scheduled after our all-city safety meeting on December 4th. We have a benefit fair for our employees to come in with all the representatives opportunities are for 2019. Let's see. We processed our claim for damages for the park restroom vandalism, which occurred in January. We actually got a reverse projected date from the city. So Tracy does. And we also they're working on the claim for damages for the city's cost for the hydrant repair that happened through the Teriyaki Spice from the third party. Our insurance carrier is working to get some reimbursement. For the city.
Subrogation.
We held our safety committee meeting on October 16th and all the departments were represented. We also held a drill for earthquake preparedness using Great American Shakeout model. Those under our desks. IT, we are still pending our payroll portal module and waiting to hear back on that and our back to full module. We've processed a number of public records requests and citizen comments and communications through all the departments. And then in your packet, I was going to get the business license report in there, but I got that today, so I will be sending that. We'll be updating the website with the report that will include all that information, which will have year-to-date numbers and all the businesses inside the city, outside the city, and contractors.
Excuse me.
Spent some time preparing the third quarter reports. Special events that are pending are the 2019 triathlon by White Racing that was in progress, and then also the team session stage. I attended State Auditor Roundtable on October 18th. Our Deputy Clerk Jean Anderson attended the WNCA Fall Academy and Education Committee in the middle of October. Our payroll clerk attended the Vision Conference over in Leavenworth the first part of October. And then a number of departments attended the MRSC purchasing training on October 17th. We went, did a webinar with the OpenGov software that we're trying to get rolled out again. And I also attended the FBLA fall workshop. Councilmember Humber. And we were all representing at the career fair, and it was a really good event. Wanted to give kudos to Laura Cash and the staff in my department for their hard work on employee and volunteer recognition.
Absolutely.
I have two questions.
Mr. Fredericks.
Page 35 of 177, you put an annual comparison in here for October through September retail sales tax. Is that what I'm looking at here? Is that what this is?
So we have put together a sales tax comparison report, has a number of different data for you. We have looked at the different you say page
35 of 177.
So this is a sales tax analysis that we're getting from one of our contractors. So we have put together information for 12 months ending in the third quarter, so you can look at where we've been going. We've been 2015 to 2018, so you can see a pretty good snapshot of where we've been going. We also have some information there on industry type, which would include such items as agriculture, construction, which would be our one-time revenue, manufacturing, transportation, utilities, wholesale, retail, trade, services, information, and public services. And then you can see on the last page, the sales tax by business type for those years too. So it's, I think,
So just a question for you.
Yeah.
As it relates to what we forecasted for 2018, where are we at on retail sales tax for what we forecasted versus where we're at trending for the year? Where do we expect to finish?
So we are slightly ahead where we thought we were forecasting, and that actually is in one of the documents that was in the budget package. There's going to be some more detail this in there, and I haven't provided that to the council, but I certainly.
Is that in the sheet that you provided me here this evening, this one?
Councilmember Benjamin asked for that, so it's near the.
Is it in here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's near the end of the document, the revenue charts for all the different areas.
Okay. second question is, can you tell me what the process is, or what we would need to do for council to take action to reconvene the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee to make a recommendation to council, given the change that was requested? And I'd like an understanding of what was requested and what the change was that came afterwards, so we're clear of what that was and what process we would need to take to do that over.
So in the budget document under the hotel motel tax, the mayor was asking to allocate some of the funds towards either some land or capital purchase for either current or future, and under exactly $50,000.
So, the lodging tax, I'm looking for my sheet here.
But the notice requirement is 45 days before the council would take action on the budget, is what I remember. I looked it up in
Yes.
MRSC, and I gave the notice to the mayor and city administrator that would have to occur. And then the lodging committee advisory board would have to meet and then revisit that request and then send it back to council if they have any changes to their original recommendation.
So, LTAC, the committee came back with some recommendations. When I got a hold of it, I made my own recommendations. They were asking for $50,000 for operations for the visitor center. They asked for 50. You guys recommended 50. And I asked that 20,000 be set aside for future improvements for a visitor center instead of putting it into operations for the year. I also added $2,500 to 2 of the special events that would be coming into town.
So it's in your budget book under tab 5.
Tab 5, thank you. I think I have the newest. Here's my recommendation. So, LTAC recommended 50, I recommended 30, and then I changed these 2 line items for the Get Bold events and the Y Racing as well. With the expectation that that $20,000 would be used for future improvements for a new visitor center. We've been talking about purchasing the piece of property that the new library is going to be going in. They have a larger than what they need section of land. And they're willing to give it to us at a pretty reasonable rate. There was talk of using park impact funds, basically using different accounts and funding sources in order to get a new facility in there, knowing that someday the current location is going to have to move due to the fact that 21 will be improved at some point. I just believe that there's going to be an expectation that building's going to have to move and go somewhere else. So this was some planning going ahead. Ms. Rip came back with with an RCW that states that I'm not allowed to do that. So, so the funds were basically put back into the budget again as the recommendation from the board. Now, in order for those to change, or in order for you to change, for council to change them, Mrs. Rip,
Yes, so I
has to be reconvened.
Yeah, I don't have that right here in front of me, but I believe
45
it's
days.
45 days.
You have to give them notice, basically, to reconvene in 45 days.
So the request from council could be, and I'm saying could because it would require either without objection or a motion, it could be to say, hey, we want the committee to relook at this, providing that a 20,000 or whatever the line item be created that establishes funding for a specific item in this case, which it sounds like to me would be the purchase of a land or building improvements. Is that correct?
For future growth.
For future
Yes.
growth.
Of a specific visitor center was my idea.
So from a understanding.
Lodging funds can be used for tourism promotion or for capital.
Okay, so understanding the requirement from a timing perspective, if the council adopts the budget, which is set for, I believe, the first meeting in December, is that a first and final reading?
I think that's just a first read.
First, so the second meeting in December would be final, correct?
I believe so.
We're 43 days away from that right now.
Okay, so here's my question as it relates to the lodging tax advisory. The council could adopt the budget with these, with how it's been approved by the, as presented by and suggested that the lodging tax advisory committee has suggested.
Right.
We could approve that. We don't pay these funds out until after the first of the year, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
On a reimbursement basis.
So it's on a reimbursement basis, but nothing prevents us from going ahead, letting the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee know that we would like them to relook at this, and then make a recommendation. Doesn't necessarily have to be different, but a recommendation back to the council. Could it then be amended into the budget? If you approve it already, but
Yeah.
Okay.
So generally what we would do is the lodging advisory committee would make the recommendation to the council would have the final say. And then in January, February, we would prepare all those agreements for the agencies to, I guess, work the conditions of the funding, whatever. And then they would go throughout the year, on the basis of what the council said their funding award was, and then they would be reimbursed for those later.
So to reconvene the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee specifically to look at
You just have
the
to-
change.
You just have to do the public notice.
So I'll just read this out loud for you just so you understand. The LTAX recommendation or recommended amount, or sorry, let me back up real quick here. The legislative body may award amounts different from the LTAX recommended amounts, but only after satisfying the procedural requirements of, there's an RCW listed. This requires the municipality to submit its proposed changes to the LTAC for review and comment at least 45 days prior to the final action. That's under 5,000, so. Mrs. Rouse.
The only problem I see with the city trying to keep funds for a building fund, the mayor's position could change, the city council's positions could change, and their ideas could change with how they wanted to use those funds. So, in my opinion, it would be better to go ahead and give it to the chamber and stress that they need to start a building fund and put those funds into a savings account to start towards that, rather than have the city hold on to it when the whole administration could change and they had different ideas on what they wanted to do.
Can there's no motion on the floor, but can I ask a question of that? And just a comment that I would have is that I agree that there's changes that could be made on the council, but there's also changes that can be made at the chamber. And so there can be changes, I guess, on both sides.
Correct.
And so what I'm after is, and I don't know if this is a hotly contested item. It certainly isn't with me, but I just, if there's objection to having, to have the clerk and the city administrator restart the 45-day notice, that we would like to have them look at this again and provide the concerns that were raised by Councilor Rounds and take a look at all of that, so we can then make a decision based upon the information that was provided by the mayor. If there is objection to that, all it would take would be one council member to say, I object. I have no issue raising that in a motion. But if there's no objection, I would request that the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee be reconvened to review the changes.
Ms. Humbert?
Until somebody objects.
Mary, do we have, do you know how much of what was given to those entities has been used from last year? Like, did they use up, did the chamber, Blooms to Brews did?
Blooms to Brews did not hear from their kids, so
I didn't think they'd even, okay, I thought at our last tax and lodging board meeting, they hadn't even turned in enough for what we had given them. They turned in some. Did they? Okay. Because it's not like we're just gonna hand them that money, it's a reimbursement, so.
I don't have a problem with having them look at it again.
No, I don't either, because I didn't.
Is that all you need, or does it require a motion?
As long as there isn't any objection, as long as we're
This, I had.
The only one that would
I
be an
put the
issue
funds
would
back
be-
in there, so it's not.
As long as Mr. Randolph's okay and he shakes his head yes.
I can't
that's-
ask for that.
So again, it's 45 days before the final council action.
So how does that work from a budget standpoint if we're going to adopt the budget with what's already been presented? Because that's what would,
Or December 3rd, and you would be able to make that 45 days.
correct, but nothing requires us to amend, we can amend that on the 46th day after they've met.
I don't know that for sure, but we can probably ask that question.
Okay. It's a timing question that I'm just not clear on.
I would think that the council would be precluded from that. I don't even know if the council would be precluded from not implementing the lodging tax advisory committee's final recommendation. I think the council still has the latitude to adopt AC the final decision. To get that clarified.
Because I don't, maybe I didn't read that correctly, but that wasn't exactly what I got out of that.
We have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So staff will investigate what's
Okay.
possible. What I'm hearing is the intent of city council to post that 45-day notice, reconvene the committee. If it's legal to do so with the timeline we have established, we'll do so. If not, we'll report back to city council and let you know why we did not do that. Is that fair?
Absolutely, and then the only thing that I would add to that is just how that relates to the process of approving the budget, because the expenditures, I believe, are already set in budget for those items. And so if we approve that on the 3rd, that being final council action, can we then change it based upon a recommendation or amend it later after we've already approved it based upon a maybe new recommendation? Or so there may not be any action taken. There may be an action taken to amend what we approved on the 3rd of December. That would be the other question that I would look at.
All right, I put it down for the. All right, questions for Mrs. Ripp? All right, thank you, Mrs. Ripp. Chief Kelly.
Well, I can tell you positively that the police department continues to meet the needs of the citizens of the city, providing excellent public service. Besides all the statistical proof that we have that's in the packet, I can tell you that the department takes an active role in our community. By a few of the highlights here is I will continue as much as my schedule will allow, part of the Planners Day Committee, and continue those. Our office staff is involved in the Safe Kids, car seat clinics, the Spillman Oversight Board. We attended, 3 of us in the office attended the Washington State Emergency Management Preliminary Damage Assessment Training. At, I think Carla went to Cressa for that training, and Donnie and I went to the DEM up in Longview or Kelso for that training. We had Coffee with a Cop, which was excellent. Woodland McDonald's hosted that, and it gave me an opportunity to introduce our recruit officer, Christopher Moore, who's in the academy and doing well. I checked in with him last week up there, and he's got a great attitude. He's the vice president of his recruit class, so that's an elected position. We completed our quarterly or trimesterly firearms training. The department, including our reserve officer, did that. I was appointed to the Dallas County Chaplaincy Board, and I look forward to making a difference with the chaplaincy program in our county. We also attended the Port of Woodland Open House, which was a blast. That was great, and I really enjoyed that new facility that we're part of. Let's see what else. And just recently we did an active threat presentation over at St. Philip Church. A couple of department officers went over there and had a great conversation. Sparked, outstanding conversation, and of course it's always difficult to admit some of our security deficiencies, but that went from not only the church, but we started to talk about home security and so on and so forth. And Sergeant Griffin, Officer Casey did a great job on that. Other than that, that's about it. I have polygraphs set for the 17th of November for 3 applicants. One of our laterals dropped out, and so the one polygraph will be on a lateral officer from out of state, and 2 will be entry level. To be continued.
All right. Questions for Chief Kelly? Mr. Chapman?
Yeah, it's nice to see that the officers are saving razors for November.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're having to go at No Shave November to spark men's health awareness, and I'm very uncomfortable. Just so you know.
Yeah, I just want to put out that as in Mrs. Coleman's division and stuff and everything, and your division, there's a big change in morale and everything, and I want to point out big time. I've noticed it, and I'm looking forward to blooming more and being more fun with you guys and stuff, because it makes a big difference in the city to see you guys actually having fun and smiles on your faces and stuff like that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, quite well.
I will never participate in the No Shave Act.
I didn't say that. I didn't want to go there with all the officers, but yes.
And right now, it's not an easy task. I mean, it's been 5 days, well, since Thursday, that was the last time I shaved. Yeah. I'm getting there. I'm gonna go as long as I can, but next week I gotta shave because of the conference, so I don't wanna go over there with scrub.
Kind of show they run in there and what are you doing? That's what you're going to get. Everybody else will have a scruffy. Mr. Fredericks.
On your report here that you've provided the CAD event data for,
Yes.
infractions are, I would assume 99.9% of those are when we come in contact with someone, we're giving them a ticket on the,
Those are civil infractions. Traffic tickets or infractions, violations of the city ordinance that don't amount to.
I'm assuming
crime.
that most of those are traffic.
It's possible.
Great answer.
There's a breakdown, and I don't have it in front of me, so.
Great answer. That's fine. And then criminal traffic tickets would be driving while suspended, something like that, as an example, DUI?
Reckless
Okay.
driving.
Okay.
First,
Say that again?
next first, negligent driving,
Okay.
first degree.
Something else. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? All right. Thank you, Chief. Chief Jackson.
You heard briefly from Mr. Babcock. We're pleased to have a couple of volunteers that are kind of dedicated and focused on that effort for disaster preparedness and reaching out. And if there's anything you need in that, certainly reach out. We'll be happy to try to arrange some more presentations. It's been a busy month. We've had, with Halloween, the crew relocated temporarily back in front of the old fire station to participate and greet the trick-or-treaters with a plethora of candies supplied by our association. We were at the Port Open House as well and enjoyed that opportunity. We had a live fire training exercise at the Lakeside Motel as part of that demolition plan as they move forward with plans for the YMCA and pool there. We had participation with Taos Fire District 1. That went well. We had one minor complaint from, I don't believe it was a citizen, but it was somebody in the city who was participating with youth sports that there was a little bit concerned with the distraction, but we We felt it was safe and were able to monitor smoke conditions to make sure there wasn't an impact on the interstate or the community. Career Day at Woodland High School, the crew was able to go down there and participate and get some good feedback and interact with the students there. We completed our testing process for the rank of battalion chief, and this list will be used for future vacancies, as well as provide qualified people to fill the role when the regular battalion chiefs are not available on duty. And I want to say a special thanks to Public Safety Chair and Councilmember Humberg, along with John Schaub from the high school, who were able to sit on our interview panels and help with that process, representing Woodland. Our firefighters have organized a winter coat drive at the Woodland Walmart, which will be on November 17th. It's coordinated with the school district and the Family Community Resource Center. So it will include a fire truck and some activities for kids and families there that come donate clothes to those in need. Fire Prevention Week, we got out to primary schools back at the beginning of the month, hit all the first graders in the community with some fire safety information. Our association recently donated a new supply of smoke alarms. We can continue that campaign. Woodland's been one of our communities with the biggest need there. We found homes without functioning and working smoke alarms, so we're working to get that addressed. We have a few dedicated volunteers that help address that specific need and go door to door dealing with those things. The Cowlitz Tribe received a grant that will provide a replacement for one of our fire engines in the amount of over $700,000. So that will help our fleet a little bit, as we're certainly in need of some replacement vehicles. We're also finalizing our details on a renewed contract with the tribe, and that continues to go well, and I anticipate that to be finalized this month for an extended length of time with the Cowlitz Tribe. We've submitted a grant for partial replacement of our breathing apparatus. We were turned down on a previous grant, got some further information, and have submitted again. That'll be a significant expense coming up to us that we'll be replacing those as mandated by law within the next year and a half. So we're hopeful on that grant and feeling good about that submission. Responses still continue to be up roughly 3% from the previous year. And let's see here. We are in the process of securing land from the Ridgefield School District near the side of the outdoor recreation complex there to replace a station in downtown Ridgefield, which is our oldest station and had similar issues to the one here in Woodland we dealt with. And along with that, kind of working on a comprehensive capital facilities plan, including apparatus and facility.
Awesome. Thank you, Chief. Questions? Oh, questions for Chief Jackson.
I don't have a question for Chief Jackson, but he reminded me of something that I could ask Chief Kelly a question on.
Oh, well, we can't go back. We can't go back. We can't go back.
You gotta call a do-over, and then we gotta.
Well, we can do.
Hold on. You got to throw something out on the floor, I think, right? Questions for Chief Jackson first before we go backwards. Thank you, Chief Jackson. Appreciate it. Mr. Fredericks.
Do we have an understanding of how many people the tribal police are dropping off at exit 21 and their unwanted guests that they like to bring to exit 21 and drop off? Do we know how many times they're doing that? Do we know when they're doing that? And is that a common theme that you're hearing from our officers?
Not so far.
Okay. From what I understand, it happens. So,
And it doesn't happen from tribal police only.
no, not from just tribal police. And from what I understand, there's more agencies that are dropping off folks at exit 21.
Yeah, they wear a lighter blue.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, if it's occurring,
I will say that the reference that Chief just made was due to safety reasons on the other organization. I believe what you're referring to is a relocation. I believe the other agency does not relocate. They go to the closest area for safety. Just want to get that out there.
it's a good answer.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you. If it's an issue, I don't.
I feel very uncomfortable.
If it is an issue, I'm not aware of it, sir.
Do you ever meet with them? The tribal police?
Oh, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Maybe you could ask for some statistics. Maybe they're tracking that.
I'll ask. I'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Goddard?
Nice bird.
So sorry for having to give you my report in paper at the last minute. I just got it finished yesterday and didn't get to it today and didn't get a chance to do electronic version. When I was asked to do that last week, I was preparing for Friday, so last minute.
You have been on tour.
Yes. So I also wanted to back up and say that I wanted to express my appreciation for both Chief Kelly and Tracy Coleman, because when I was setting up and right at the beginning of the open house, they both cycled some of their employees through, so I got the chance to practice and make sure I had everything in the right order. So they were my test dummies, and it worked out perfectly. Actually, I think they have all enjoyed themselves because they're out in the community all the time, and they don't necessarily get to understand why some of the stuff is happening the way it is or what's going on out there. So they give me a lot of good feedback. I just need to get the surveys back from them so that I'll have more informed information. But it was nice to see both of their shops cycle people through and help me get up to speed on that. So it's not just a solo effort by myself. So I do get help from the rest of the staff. So in the last month, we've had actually quite a bit of land use activity. Our building activities slowed down in September and October, but land use is right back at it. So we have 3 pre-application conferences. We completed one last week. We have 2 more coming up next week. So those are a storage expansion from the previous planning commission chair, Dave
Simpson.
And so he'll be expanding his storage facility. There's also the RV resort, which is just north of the Industrial Training Center, just north of Belmont Loop between I-5 and Green Mountain. And then also Perry Formworks is doing an expansion of their storage business for their outdoor storage area on the corner of Dial and Sherman. So those are the 3 pre-applications that we've had come in the last couple of weeks. We also received the Dutch Brothers site plan information, so we're doing a fully complete review on that. This morning we managed to get out the approval letter, or the draft approval for Chilton Logging, and also the Liberty Evans, or the Woodland Commerce Center, which is between Sherman and I-5, that industrial pad there that is owned by Liberty Evans. So their boundary line adjustment, they called us and said, the truss manufacturing business, ProBuild, that's looking to locate in there, they wanted to do their closing November 9th, and they've been talking to Rob Vanderzanden, who's been clarifying the issues, and they are really worried about this timeline, so they turned their application in on Thursday. We talked about it at the Development Review Committee Thursday afternoon. Rob Vanderzanden did his review Friday afternoon, sent me his report Friday afternoon, and of course I was here. So I got it this morning. We did a draft preliminary approval for it today, and so it went to them for review. But if you're looking for examples of how the city's trying to change our attitude, came in on Thursday, by Monday they have an approval. Normally it might be 45 days. Rob Vanderzanden has been clearly communicating with them outside of our normal channels, and they filled out everything that they needed and turned it in, and so the process actually does work when the applicants and the staff are working together. So hopefully that word is getting out there. And ProBuild especially are excited to come to Woodland because they like our attitude. They like the fact that staff is able to talk to them, and Rob has been good about communicating with them. So Hopefully that word is getting out there on the street.
Did you just say somebody had a positive experience?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure. All
It
right.
slipped out, sorry. I also had an interesting phone call from somebody who wanted to, they're looking at opening a regional office in some warehouse space here in Woodland. So they asked me not to say their name, but they're looking at working with a realtor, and they would like to sign as soon as possible. And so we might even have stuff that is coming to town that's not even necessarily on our radar. So apparently, we're a hot commodity.
Definitely leadership.
I
It's,
wanted
de-
to-
it's definitely the leadership. Go ahead.
I wanted to point out that the Planning Commission is meeting on the 15th. We have two major things on our agenda. One is the Port Phase 2 hearing for their Guile Road Phase 2 project, the industrial park. And the other one is we have a guest speaker, Liza Moorhead, and she is from the Portland, let me check my email for her full title. She's the Metropolitan Planning Director for, and the Editor-in-Chief for MetroSpace, which is out of Portland State University. And their website, or their sole purpose, is to housing data in the Portland metropolitan area. So she's going to come do a presentation about kind of housing constraints and what's affecting the Portland metropolitan area, which really includes Clark County. And so if you're interested, if you can't make that event, of course, we'll videotape, so you'll be able to watch it. And she'll be first on the agenda, so she should be about 20 to 30 minutes with questions and that. So the issue of code updates and that kind of stuff is in front of the mind of the Planning Commission, so we're going to do that before we get to the public hearing. But their website is portlandpulse.org, and apparently it's interactive, a lot of maps about housing and that sort of stuff in the Portland metropolitan area. So she'll be following up with our continuing education on residential development and those kind of issues. Other than that, if you have any questions about my quarterly report, you can let me know. You'll see that the planning for the building permit evaluation, oddly enough, I was surprised when I actually sat down and looked at this. It's on the back page, but actually our residential construction valuation this year is higher than our commercial and industrial valuation for the year. Part of that is skewed by the fact that the Young RV haven't picked up their building permit yet, so it's not technically issued. They've been having issues with their architect and engineering their structural steel, so they haven't started construction. As you can see, they've gotten as far as they can, but until they get that stuff done, they're kind of in a holding pattern. So once that comes in, we'll see a significant jump in our commercial and industrial numbers here, but right now, commercial is actually, their residential is actually bigger with the two valuation.
Do you have an indication of when? Are they going to start? Are they going to pick those up by the end of the year?
I'm hoping so. We had the last update I got was early last week, and their engineer finally responded to Townsend and Associates' first response to their first set of plans. So hopefully they should get that done, and it could be issued in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Depends on how quickly their engineer can address Townsend and Associates structural comments.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Questions for Mr. Goddard?
I have a comment, just that,
Mr. Pitchens.
$6.7 million in valuation on non-residential construction and issuing 131 permits leads me to believe we don't really have a problem with being someone who's not friendly. It seems to me like that is starting to change. So that's directly from your leadership in that office, and that is certainly appreciated. It also leads me to believe that maybe impact fees aren't a major concern. That perhaps folks like to understand what the costs are before they come, and at least it's an understanding of what they're going to pay versus a possible unknown and high dollars that they would have to pay associated with their project. So I think this is good news. I think it will be a great thing when Be Young RV gets going. That'll have some tremendous impacts from a retail sales tax that will certainly help us.
More questions comments for Mr. Goddard? All right, thank you, Mr. Goddard. Ms. Coleman,
Yes.
you're up.
All right. Well, I'm going to piggyback on what Travis said. I've been in contact with some high-end builders that are actually working downtown Vancouver waterfront on commercial and restaurant buildings, and they also do million-dollar residential homes. They've contacted me in regards to Woodland. They said that they do not want to go to Ridgefield. They're looking at Woodland next. So I'm going to be having some meetings with them this next week. Just kind of giving you a heads up on that they're coming our way, whether we like it or not. So, and then also, I did participate in the career day at Woodland High School this past week, and I think I had more fun with the kids. I think I may have intimidated them a little bit, but I told them to get over here and look at our booth and figure out what was going on and what do they want to do with their life. And some of them ran right over to police, fire, so on and so forth. But I told them, hey, it's good to work in sewer and water, but but I had a good time and grabbed quite a few trinkets after the whole organization ended down. Had my bag of goodies. I was trick-or-treating, so that was pretty nice. And then I also, this last month, I attended the Washington City Safe Summit conference in Spokane and was able to come up with some pretty good safety ideas for the city here of Woodland and improve our safety program even further. I don't know if you guys have noticed, has anybody noticed Public Works building?
You painted it.
We painted it. Doesn't it look nice?
Yes.
We painted the ramp and the deck and cleaned it up. Now we gotta get rid of the weeds out front. We're kind of looking like
Ugly stepchild.
yeah, can't say that, can you? Okay, the redheaded stepchild. So anyway, so we can clean it up. And I think it's looking a little nicer, and I don't think you'll get slivers on your hands when you're walking up the ramp. So, yeah, we can. Yeah, we can do that. We take care of the front off. Okay, so then in regards to the water treatment plant improvements, as you know, the bids came in and it's on the agenda tonight for approval of the apparent low bidder for the water treatment plant improvements that we're going to be doing. And on that as well, I'm asking for approval of the some administrative fees towards the engineering consultant to help us out to get the project moving and going. So that's in your agenda approval for tonight. And then we have on lift station 5, my sincere thanks to our city attorney as we have a easement in hand, a right-of-way easement in hand. So that way we have our pre-construction meeting on Tuesday, and my thank you to you. I really appreciate that. So that's going along just great. And then we actually completed all the mixing zone study that we needed to turn into the Department of Health by the end of the year. So that's been completed on September 11th during our highest tide and the lowest river flow. And right now they're doing the analysis and we'll have that report to us by December. So we're moving right along on that. We met with, meaning the city administrator and the mayor and myself and Travis, met with WashDOT and the CWCOG in regards to funding that we have available to us to study Exit 21. And so we had a preliminary draft of a timeline of what we're going to do and what we're going to ask the community for their feedback. And so that was pretty much approved and told us to move forward on that. And I think the conversation went fairly well with WashDOT. So I'm excited to move forward on that. Now I just need to get the paperwork put together for that one. So then we also, just this last week, we completed our catch basin repairs. We had 2 catch basins that were repaired on Redwood, and we noticed as we're driving down through Redwood, there's some other catch basins that we're going to have to put on the list for next year. So those are making sure. And then we also repaired some pretty large potholes on
a daily basis to keep the city running, to keep lights on, to keep the roads from being slushed, to keep potholes filled in, to keep stop signs up, so on and so forth. So to get a simple thank you note for somebody who came and hand-delivered it to the office, we're very grateful for that and appreciative because the guys don't get thanks enough. So I sent that to the city administrator and to the mayor and wanted to give kudos to our crew for doing that. They did an outstanding job. So we did have a new employee that started in the streets 2 weeks ago, and he's doing an excellent job. He is local. He actually is also his name is Jason Sanders, and he is actually the wrestling coach, one of the wrestling coaches for Woodland High School. So we're really glad to have him on board. We met the city administrator, myself, our city engineer, and Travis, the planning director, met with the Port of Woodland as well, with Ray and Osborne to talk about our feasibility study and what our scope and expectations are for that 400-acre development. And so Ray and Osborne is supposed to have something back to us within a couple weeks that we'll all meet and go over to make sure that we're all on the same page of what we want from them, what we're expecting to receive from them for the funds that we approved for that study. Safe Routes to School. I walked the project with WashDOT 2 weeks ago, and this is the sidewalk that would go from Bend Club Road out to the intermediate school, and received some pretty good feedback from WashDOT. They're excited to take that forward to us for legislative dollars and federal funding. Some of the questions they asked me were to extend some of the sidewalks on some of the side streets for bikes and pedestrians, a 10-foot path in a few locations. So they asked me to go back to the drawing board and get some new numbers to them within the next week or two, so I'll be working on that. And then the Port of Woodlands grant funds that we received from them have really made a huge impact to Hoffman Park. If you haven't seen that, go out and look at Hoffman Park. We've put new engineered wood chips within the park. I kind of shared this at one of the last council meetings. And we also created one that has ADA access. And we're waiting for a swing to come in. And then we'll be, hopefully later on this week, when we have some little bit warmer weather and some dry weather, we'll be putting an asphalt ramp to, an asphalt path to the ramp that we put into that park for the ADA accessibility. So pretty excited about that. And then last but not least, the IACC conference that we went to, I think we all had a very good, I had a good time at the conference. I don't know if they did, but I had a pretty good time. And
It was all right.
I was able to meet some great contacts for the Public Works Board that has funding grant dollars. And also I found 2 contacts for streetlight grants. So one of the budgeted items that I put in the budget was a large cut to our streetlights. But I found that possibly now with the $25,000 that I've asked for that I might be able to go to grants and get some almost full funding grant, or at least put our matching dollars in to change up more streetlights than I had ever hoped or anticipated for this next year, which I'm really excited for. So looking forward to applying for those. And then also, something that I was not familiar with that I learned was we have a lot of individuals here in the city who still have septic in the city who actually have access to tie into our sewer lines. So something that I found out was we could obtain a grant from the city that if we could get a grant, so if their septic system failed and they wanted to tie in, we could help them pay for that lateral tie-in, which would reduce the cost for some of our residents. So if your septic system failed, we'd be able to pay for some of the dollars, which usually is 100% cost for the resident that goes from their house to tie into the main line. So that was kind of some good information to know that we could funnel that through our city to help individuals who might not be able to, afford to repair the septic system or would like to tie in to one of the city's main sewer lines. So I thought that was some great information, which I didn't know that existed, that it was available. But it typically is not available for individual residents, so that was kind of nice to know that it would come through us. And then also, I want to publicly admit that I lost a battle. And the
Oh, I thought I was getting a trophy.
Yes,
Oh.
the mayor won, but I had the
Everything. I won everything.
So what I'm talking about is we had an eating competition, and literally I ate so much that I was like a snake. I could not even eat dinner. I sat sat at dinner, and I couldn't even put anything in my mouth, I was so full. So
Quitter.
I lost that battle. He won, the mayor won, out of all of us, but I think I had the biggest game, so we'll just leave it at that. But it was a great conference. I enjoyed myself.
We got the, let's see, I rode with Mr. Boyce, let's see, we got front row parking, what, 2 days? No, 1 day. 1 day, and then I was with them, so then we got front row parking again. We got there first. What else? I got the most loot walking out the door. What was it?
Oh, yeah, he won.
Oh, I won a prize. I won a prize very first, and I walked in, so I'm going to win. I just, it's a winning weekend for the city. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Yes.
So
We had a good time.
that's what I have to report. Any questions?
Septic inventory, how many septic tanks, do we have an inventory of those?
We do have an inventory of that. And that was one of the questions that I was asked actually just most recently. And the reason why is because we've been having some septic systems that have been failing in the city. And there is access to our septic, not our septic, to our sewer, to our big septic field over on the other side of the freeway, and to our sewer for them to connect. And so our code is explicit that says if you're within 200 feet, you're required to connect, and so on and so forth. And our code also says that you're supposed to be paying a monthly charge if you're not connected to our sewer, and probably 90%, 90 plus percent of the individuals that are in septic within the city are not paying that sewer system charge. Which it's just nobody's ever enforced it. I don't want to say that we should go enforce it. That's not what I'm suggesting at all whatsoever. I'm just saying that there are a lot of septic drain fields still within the city, and it's something that we need to look at. That if the drain fields fail and people want to hook up, what do we do? Or what are we going to do at that point? Because the code says you have to. So just something for us to look at and think about. Just something that's been brought to my attention recently with some failed septic systems. So.
Other questions for Ms. Coleman?
Comment.
Mr. Chapman.
No PowerPoint, no pictures?
I gave them my presentation. Did you not look? No, not today. I have some for later. Thank you. Next time.
Anyone else?
But it was a colorful presentation, was it not?
Very nice.
Yes.
All right. Seeing no one else, thank you, Ms. Coleman. Appreciate the report. Ms. Humbird, Cowlitz Wahkiakum Council of Governments.
Our last meeting was on, I don't have it here, Thursday, October 13th, or October 11th, but I'm not positive. Anyway, we talked about some next steps for some of the services that the COG provides and things that the entities that were there would like to see the COG provide. That was kind of interesting. The things that, how many things that the same cities want. We discussed the budget and it was approved. The director's report gave a little what had happened at the regional meeting that he attended. It's a really short meeting. Yeah, we also talked about the Rails to Trails and the work proposal in Kelso. There's a part of Burlington Northern that's no longer used as a railroad that they're trying to get moved so it can be a trail to walk or ride your bike on. That was been working on for a while. Hopefully we can get that going on, and the COG is behind that. We're also talking about bringing Fred, and I'm going to screw up his name, Busman, he's the former director of the National Association of Regional Councils, to our yearly meeting. And we gave the offer, and I haven't heard back from him yet. And I believe that was all. And our next meeting is November 15th at noon at the Annex building.
Okay. Questions for Ms. Humber? You want to do downtown real quick?
Okay. Downtown Woodland Revitalization, we did not have a meeting. That's the wrong one. We did not have a meeting in October, so that these minutes are from our September meeting. Our treasurer report showed a profit of $1,723.25. The baskets that we hang, the flower baskets, Dan Chapman possibly will not be a source, he announced. So we may need to look elsewhere for our baskets if we continue with this project, and we're hoping we do, because I think they make Main Street look amazing. We have a list of dates that to complete and work with the VFW on approved dates for the flags, so that when the dates that we have to have the flags out. Tracy was contacted about the vegetation and the need for the clarifier on the ship, the mascot, and I think that was taken care of.
Yeah, we
Yeah, it looks really nice now. Thank you. And November 13th will be our annual meeting, and notices will be sent out for new members. So, the meeting was adjourned.
All right. Questions for Ms. Humbert?
When is the next meeting again, I'm sorry?
November 13th. It's always the second Tuesday. It's at 9 o'clock at Grange.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you, Ms. Humbert. Moving on to legislative items. I've got 2019 legislative priorities here. I'd like to have two conversations. That's number one, and then number two is the date for a retreat. I would like to get the retreat done in January due to some council members not able, already have plans into February. I'd like to do it sooner rather than later. So you may not have your calendar on you now, but I'm looking at the 26th, which is a Saturday, as a possible date.
Which date?
January 26th, sorry. January 26th.
We'll be out of town starting on the 23rd.
Okay. I think I just got this one wrong. What about the 12th?
Good.
Okay.
I'm going to have I will not know my schedule until next Monday, because
Okay, that's fine.
I have a lot of traveling coming
Okay.
up on weekends in January. And
Okay.
I'd hate to make a commitment here and then
Yeah.
not be able to
No, that's
meet
fine.
that commitment.
I'm throwing it out there for a conversation now. So if everyone could look at, it looks like the 12th of January or the 2nd of February. When are,
I'll be here the second.
okay.
I will not.
You will not either, okay. Well, all right then. Look, well, you gone the 9th?
I'm gone the 6th,
You start on the 6th, okay.
and I won't be back till the 20-something, 22nd, I think.
Okay.
January,
February.
February, it should be in February. Okay. Well, doesn't look like my plan's gonna work. Let's look to, oh, you're gone. The 23rd of February. I'll give that date to you.
January the 12th, and then February the 23rd, is that what?
Yes, January 12th or February the 23rd.
Ms. Ripp, is it possible for you to add that item on the next agenda, just so it's on the agenda for the mayor's discussion for 2 dates, so we can come prepared? Because if it's not on there, I will not remember to look.
Okay. This, I think, is supposed to be up there. I got that wrong. And that's a bad day. Yeah, it's a chamber. That's a busy day for most. I think chamber installation during the 19th. Are you busy most of the day?
Most definitely.
Most. Okay, that's what I figured. Okay, so we'll put that on the list, and please come prepared to discuss those 2 dates. Moving on to legislative priorities, I have. I guess I got the truth. I have a few groups in town. I already asked that the chamber start thinking about their legislative priorities. I also have Rotary down because I know that they'll be approaching legislators. So I'd like to get a letter out to them without objection. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page moving forward as a city, and we're not competing for different areas of funding.
You should maybe send one to the swimming pool committee also.
Thank you. That was, I'm leading into that conversation of who am I missing. I've got the
Yes.
Port, Rotary, and Chamber. Okay.
Do you have a date for the chamber? When do you want to do?
You know, I'll get a letter. My pen's not working. I just want you guys to start thinking about it. I think I'm going to probably approach you in December, or approach these groups in December. So I'll get a letter out this month, and then that will help with your planning purposes. With that being said, I'll get our previous list of items that we took to Olympia over the, I guess, maybe the last 2 years, because this is a big year. So if we can get the last 2 years, and then also AWC, their list of priorities, I believe those are already out. So we can look at theirs as well. And then I'd like to hold a workshop, depending on council agenda, on either December 3rd or the 17th, and we'll look and see which one has the lighter. Even I know we're still talking budget somewhat, but we'll see which one's lighter to discuss those priorities. So, more to come on that. I guess just start thinking about those items of what you believe the city needs to be contacting legislators about. So, I'll get that letter out to the other organizations within. What about the library? I'll send it to them anyway. All right. I don't know if they're going to be asking or not.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good idea to send it to them, I think, anyway.
Okay. Questions? It's early November, I know. I just want to get prepared. Yes. City action days are February 13th and 14th. Well, it's over at noon. If you want to spend it with me. For people like you. All right, moving on. We don't have much time left here. I don't think we're going to make it to our workshop tonight. Come to the section of the agenda for consent items.
Move to approve consent items.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Will the clerk please take the vote?
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Councilmember Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Bingen?
Aye.
All right, consent items have passed. Moving on to action items. Action item C, ordinance number 1414, amending Woodland Municipal Code 14.28 relating to fireworks. Final reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Humberg.
We've talked about this at a couple of different meetings, and we talked about it at length at our safety meeting, and would like to see this approved.
Councilmember Plaza.
Like she said, this has been kicked around by the Public Safety Committee quite a few times. The changes that we've made, while positive, or really won't have much of an impact against people who want to enjoy their fireworks or purchase them. The groups that rely on fireworks for fundraising won't be affected as far as the amount of time that they'll have selling them. So I would also urge everybody to vote yes for this.
Further discussion? Mr. Fredericks.
I appreciate the work that was put into the ordinance. I disagree. I don't think it goes far enough. I am in full support that everyone should be able to blow off pretty much whatever they want to on the 4th of July. I do not believe we should be blowing off fireworks on June, end of June, the 29th, the 30th, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd. It's over the top. I have no objection to celebrating on July 4th. I've had several citizens suggest that we need to curb these even further than what we have, and that we just need to ensure that we're not lighting these off for 5 or 6 days prior to the celebration date of July 4th. So I'd encourage everyone to vote no on this ordinance.
Councilmember Plaza.
Thank you. I get what Councilmember Fredericks is saying. Ideal, if it was up to me, yeah, here it comes. If it was up to me, I like having a quiet neighborhood too. I like being able to go to sleep at a decent hour and not be woken up by fireworks going off. However, first off, they're not setting fireworks off in June. The new ordinance makes it so you can only set them off in after the 1st of July.
Thank you.
Through the 4th. Prior to that, they could set it off on the 5th, and I think it was up to a week afterwards. So that's being cut. So you don't have to worry about that. However, just getting back to my point, while it would be nice to be able to sleep at night without continual dogs barking and freaking out and everything else, we didn't get on the council to push our own personal agendas or to push the agendas of a small group of people that may talk to us in the street here and there. We need to do what we think is right for what the majority of the Woodlanders would choose. And I think the majority of Woodlanders enjoy shooting off their fireworks in July to celebrate the birth of our great nation. So again, I would urge everybody to vote yes.
Do you have one more comment in there for us?
God bless America.
Never mind. All right, further discussion. Mr. Fredericks.
Just, I'm not aware of any polls or any information that was taken that would help members of this council ascertain what a majority of the citizens of Woodland want. But I can assure you there is a large subject, or there's a large group of folks that do not appreciate having fireworks 3 to 4 days before July. So having said that, I'll suspend any further comment on it. I appreciate the council for listening.
Further. Mrs. Ripley, please take the vote on, where's my thing? Action item C, ordinance number 1414.
Good job.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
No.
Councilmember Humbert?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
No.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Binghamton?
Aye.
All right. Ooh, that was a surprise out of left field. Action item C has passed 5-2. Moving on to action item D, ordinance number 1421, creating new fund 414 water treatment plant HVAC electrical valve replacement project, first and final reading.
Move to approve?
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humbert, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Humbert.
Tracy spoke to this during her presentation. Helps us. It also, came in at less money than what they were planning on, and so this will also help us get the valves at a decent price. It's a good thing. And it's a housekeeping in the city. I would urge you to vote yes.
Councilmember Rounds.
I would also say exactly what Susan said. I agree.
Further discussion? Mr. Fredericks.
Does this go through committee at the Finance Committee?
We did not, because we got it after the fact, that we didn't have it in the budget document, but Public Works Committee had asked for it to be added on because they're awarding the bid of the fund that I can't.
Okay. So this shouldn't say pending Finance Committee recommendation? It was pending, okay.
And I just want to make a
Ms.
statement,
Coleman?
the only portion that's pending is the valve portion. The $744,000 approved in last year's budget, it's only a small portion that is pending.
That makes
So-
sense.
Yes.
I
So,
just want to make sure I was clear.
so that we have a correction and we're creating this new fund because the $744,000 is now residing in Fund 413, so we'll be moving that money over to this fund.
Okay.
Further discussion? All right, will the clerk please take the vote on action item D, ordinance number 1421?
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
All right, action item D has passed. Moving on to action item E, authorized bid award to Stellar J Corporation for construction of water treatment plant, HVAC, and electrical improvements project.
Move to approve?
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Humberg.
Again, this is kind of a housekeeping. Stellar J was the lowest bid, something that we need to get done.
Councilmember,
Yes.
Councilmember Rounds.
I agree.
Further discussion, Mr. Fredericks.
Did this go through committee?
Yes, it did.
Okay, it doesn't say so on the document, that's why I'm asking.
I know, I'm sorry.
That's
Well,
okay.
I didn't know. Possibly, but
It's the only reason I'm asking the question, so thank you.
yes. Okay.
Further discussion? Will clerk please take the vote on action item E, authorizing bid to Stellar J Corporation?
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Action item E has passed. Moving on to action item F, authorized change order for Grant Osborne for contract regarding the water treatment plant, HVAC, and electrical improvements project.
I'll make a motion to approve action item F.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember Rounds, seconded by Councilmember Humber. Councilmember Rounds.
This was discussed at our meeting tonight, and this Gary and Osborne knows all the city, whatever, I don't know what you call it, but, so it's, I think it's a good thing to have them to be able to do that, so. And they come in, I think came in at a decent bid, didn't they? Yes.
This one is,
Qualification, okay.
Councilmember Hubbard.
I agree.
Further discussion. Will the clerk please take the vote on action item F? I know, sorry, I can't help myself.
Councilmember Humbert?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
All right, action item F has passed. Moving on to action item G, ordinance number 1420, 2019 property tax levy 101%, first reading, and resolution number 707, percentage increase for 2019 property tax levy.
Move to adopt ordinance number 1420.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Frederick.
Can you explain how a decrease works? And it seems, if I'm looking at this, that even though we're approving it, it's going down. And if I read this correct, the overall increase from 2018 to 2019 appears to be $11,036. Am I reading that correctly?
So, in order to calculate your levy rate, you divide your amount collected into your test valuation. So I handed out the updated one because we did receive information from the assessor today. So on first page of the summary, since our levy rate is going down and that would equate to a decrease, I gave an example of a $250,000 house. And levy rate went from $1.93 in 2018 to $1.85 in 2019 for estimate. Now, our assessed valuation has went up overall to $803 million, and then the amount collected is $1.493 million. So our levy rate goes down. For the
But
city.
year over year, the increase that we'll collect is $11,036, if I'm reading that correct, based upon this sheet right here in the middle of the page. I'm on this page.
Oh, okay. So change from 2019 to 2018 was the estimate, not the actual. So if you look on page 1 of the summary, it shows the amount of collection that's going to go up to $72,000, but of that amount, $40,720.
So what's the overall increase year over year from property tax with this, provided that this passes? What is the overall increase?
Dollar amount.
Total dollar amount.
72,787.
So you subtract out new construction. If I'm just doing a year over year comparison, correct?
Well, 2018 was included new construction for 2018 also.
What's
So
that?
that's both,
Except for when they roll the new construction into the regular budget, so. So, that amount is $30,050.
$30,000. Are our costs going down?
That doesn't even cover the contracts that we have with the county and different organizations.
So the increases that the city gets, this is one of the ways that we actually pay for that additional costs. Now, I have not gone line through the budget, but I would probably come to the same conclusion that I have probably the last couple of years, is that I'm not gonna find very much to cut that is not what would be considered an essential service. Is that, I see Mr. Boyce shaking his head, yes. So this is really the only way we pay for the increased costs associated with doing business as the city of Woodland, is this increase. Is that, I mean, other than passing a,
Yeah, property tax, sales tax.
Correct.
and we do, get money from Fund 301, and helps supplement
Right.
some of its work equipment and operations.
correct. Okay,
Funds.
that's all I have, thank you.
Councilmember Rounds.
I agree that we should pass it, so.
Further discussion? All right. Will you?
I also just wanted to point out that the resolution will be presented for adoption at the next meeting. This is for information.
Okay.
Oh, real quick, before we go.
Mr.
Ask
Plaza.
a question real quick. Okay, so maybe I tried to wrap myself around this, but now I'm confused. I thought I had it, but, so is this ordinance, is this a decrease in property tax that people are paying, or is this going to be an increase in property tax that people are paying? It says decrease here, but after Councilman
So just-
Frederick's questions.
Just the city's portion.
Yeah,
Since we have increased our pool, which is the assessed valuation, then your levy rate goes down. So it depends on how much your assessment went up.
okay. But it's not going to raise any more for
No,
most people.
it is going to.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thanks.
Will clerk please take the vote on action item G, ordinance number 1420.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Hubbard?
Aye.
All right, action item G has passed. Moving on to action item H, resolution 708 to support a special 2% lodging tax per RCW 67.28.181.
Move to approve?
Second?
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Fredericks. Councilmember Humberg.
We spoke to this a little bit earlier in our meeting, and I just think that this is probably the best way for the city to go. I was at the meeting with whatever his last name? Taylor, right, who spoke to it at length about how this happened and why it happened, and this makes us with everybody else, so it's a good thing, and I urge you to vote yes.
Councilmember Fredericks.
The only thing that I would add is I'd like to see resolution number 709 to be able to get the 20% of our public safety tax that we send 20% of to the county every month or every quarter. I'd like to see us request that that RCW be amended as well. So I would include both of these in, I'm not sure a legislative priority, but it would be nice to have these go to the legislative group requesting that that be changed. I believe the county should not receive those funds as well. Those should stay here in Woodland because the tax was passed in Woodland for Woodland. I'd be in agreement with this one as well. If the tax is collected in Woodland, those dollars should stay in Woodland. And Woodland should determine whether or not we should participate in any group doing anything associated with reaching out to folks that might want to do some advertising in other places around the United States, around in foreign countries. That would be my suggestion, is that the city of Woodland should have some say in that, and that these funds should not be directed to Cowlitz County. So I think this is a good request. I think it makes sense. In a perfect world, I would have liked to have seen the chamber be able to at least have a say in this matter, but it is a timely issue that we get taken care of, and I want to make sure that we move this forward. But I do encourage the city to actually suggest changing that, requesting that the 20% public safety tax stay in Woodland, not be diverted to the county.
I know you're in active discussion. Can I just clarify one of your statements? The chamber will be able to weigh in. I know that they somewhat weighed in this evening, but they will be able to weigh in if this goes as far as we're asking it to go, which means that it will be going before the legislators in the 2019 session. So there's still time for them to weigh in. Just throwing that out there, if it gets that far. Okay. Thank you. Further discussion. All right. Will the clerk please take the vote on action item H, resolution 708?
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Aye. Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Frederick?
Aye.
All right. Action item H, resolution 708 has passed. Moving on to action item I, authorized change order for Grand Osborne for lift station number 5 project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Chapman. Councilmember Humberg.
This is just an authorization for the change order for the lift station after we were, and our other issues settled.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yeah, I concur. It's the same. We're just putting all our ducks in a row and getting the next step pushed on down the road here. So.
Further discussion? Seeing no other, will the clerk please take the vote on action item I, authorized change order for Grand Osborne lift station number 5 project?
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Benjamin?
Aye.
Councilmember Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Frederick?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
All right, action item I has passed. I know we have a workshop list on here, but we don't have time to get into these items. Mrs. Ripp did provide a sheet for you this evening, which would be revenue sources and tax rates, which has some yellow highlights on there. I guess be prepared to discuss this on the 13th, correct? Okay. Mrs. Ripp, do you have anything to add to this sheet for thoughts once we leave here for council? Oh, and we've got this sheet as well. I'm sorry. I forgot you left 2 sheets.
There's different scenarios in there for you to look at.
Yeah, okay.
Just to pose a question to Mr. Boyce. A question, I would like to understand when we do have this discussion, what would be the impact of, on the utility tax? The impact would be to offset, rather than a 7% increase just to the utility or just to sewer and water, what would be the ramifications of doing say a 4% increase to water and sewer and increase the utility tax on water and sewer by 3%? Still the same percentage, but some of that gets diverted to general fund to address general fund items. Now, I don't know if you can do that, or what the ramifications to both those funds would be if we did that.
Any other questions on the two items? Okay. Our next meeting will be budget workshop on the 13th, next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And, oh jeez, can't have anything nice around here.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, move to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 9:48.